Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Matthew Mumbles, my personal podcast show where I pretty much talk about whatever I want to talk about. It can be life stories, my thoughts on things happening right now in the world, etc. Today, I wanted to kind of touch base on a recent video I had uploaded to the Matthew T.O.S.G YouTube channel, which is the Godzilla show, The Great Race. And I know I'm kind of speaking a bit monotone just because I am filming this pretty late at night and I don't want to disturb people, so yeah, I do have to keep a bit of a minimum. Anyway, so I wanted to kind of touch base on the new episode that dropped. Well, it's not really an episode, it's a short that I made in high school called the Godzilla show, The Great Race, which is what we're going to be calling it, The Great Race. Now, this one was a very interesting thing because in the show's 9-year history, this is the only episode of the show, or short of the show, I'm going to call it an episode or whatever, that was filmed using a literal professional camera. And I had made it roughly in 2 days of shooting, I think, if I remember correctly, because this was almost 4 years ago. I've since graduated and moved on from said school, but this has been sitting in, well, we'll talk about it in just a sec, but yeah, this was an assignment back in December 2021 and for my filming class, and well, I think it's just a filming assignment, but yeah. I went around the school, filming different, angles and, all these crazy camera angles and such. And, there was a few scenes which I, unfortunately did have to cut out of its actual release. But, again, we'll talk about that in just a sec. But the actual episode itself is very, very cool, in my opinion, because there's a lot of things I was never able to do with the actual web series, my apologies. Well, I mean, you can watch it on a TV, and you technically be considered a web series, or TV series, so how ironic I got that reversed, huh? So, yeah, I guess it's a TV series now, huh? Anyway, web series. So in the web show, I'm, limited to just the basic camera angle of it being maybe head on with Godzilla or maybe a little lower with Red. I mean, I did kind of push a bit of the boundaries with season 19, 20, and 21, and I do intend doing that on season 22 and 23, which are currently underway as I'm recording this and are probably released by the time I'm releasing it, because I am somewhat backlogged on videos, so this might not come out until August. Anyway, so for the actual episode, this was actually where I was able to really give it my all when it comes to camera angles. So there's this one shot I don't remember if it was if this is the one I publicly released, but there's this one shot where swivels down with Red and basically has this really cool from top to view, and then it spirals down and pans over to Red. It's really cool, and I'm actually able to zoom in and capture quote-unquote facial expressions, even though they have the same type of format, and the quality of it is actually much better than that of the original series, because a lot of the older episodes of the series up until that point were filmed using my phone, and I still use my phone, and my cat's right now beneath my legs about to snip me, and I'm brushing it anyway. Yeah, so a lot of it was filmed using my basic cameras, whatever. I could mainly get at best 2720p out of it. This was probably 4K. The original raw footage was at least 4K in quality. It looked that good. So when I had all the footage ready and down, I basically went home, edited it all with InShot, which was my then video editor, and I still use it now to this day. And I say then because back then I still used InShot, and basically just kind of winged it. I did a voiceover using the script because I did write it beforehand, and I think I may have also done some storyboards, may or may not have. And I also just kind of put together the short within itself, added the intro, and I just kind of sent it off. I did kind of cheat a little bit because I didn't use the video editor which that was provided for us, which I think was Final Cut Pro. I could be wrong, but again, it's been a long time. Um, as for the actual, like, when it came to actually, like, putting it on YouTube, the reason why it was never, like, publicly released was because I filmed it in my school corridors, and again, my school was very prideful on itself and had its logo like everywhere, so I didn't really want to like reveal like too much of that. And I also had like some other people on camera, so out of respect of their privacy, I decided not to put out that version of the actual like short. And it I did present it to my class. There was, just some like, what the hell am I watching type reactions, but for the most part, it was pretty much positive, at least if I can remember. They probably had a bit of a laugh, cringy laugh, but I like to make fun stuff anyway. At least stuff that I consider fun. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do like it, you like it. Stick around. Anywho, so after that was done, everything was great, and I think about a few weeks or months later, I uh, was done with that class, and I moved on to the rest of the semester until I was done that grade. And then I eventually spent a few years more, and then I graduated. I don't know. It was a very fun time. But during those several years, this was actually in my Google Drive. I knew about it, but like it wasn't until recently where I like really stumbled upon it. I was just like, huh, I've never really released this. Should I release it? And then I had another look. I was just like, well, no. There's a lot of things that don't really like wouldn't fit onto like my channel like privacy wise, so I decided not to do it. Plus the original cut actually used Mortal Kombat, yeah, during like the big chase sequence. There's or like the big like race sequence where Godzilla and Red and myself are all like in these different corridors and like walking a bunch. That was actually like it had Mortal Kombat over it, and just to kind of make it like the blood pumping a little bit more. So unfortunately, I had to edit that out when it actually came to releasing it on YouTube, because I actually did release like a rough cut of it featuring the Mortal Kombat music. At best, I thought it was just going to get copyright claimed, but no, it was copyright blocked, and I was not risking it. So I gave it the axe as quickly as I could, and I went back to the drawing board. Like, how can I release this to the masses? Because I do want to release this. Until I eventually remembered that I had the original audio files, the voice recordings I had recorded, like to dub over it, which is probably why you can hear a bit of an audio difference when you compare it to the original like intro, which is pretty much untouched until like eventually it gets to the that one shot where they're like all eyeing each other. So that was like when the edited audio starts coming in. There was a lot more sound effects, and it was a bit campy, but I decided to also like keep some of the stuff in, like the Taco Bell bong when the pigs get hit. And I also decided to keep the the like panting, like God, come on, like that stuff from Red. I did decide to keep that. Another thing I started to like change a bit was, you could actually tell this judging from the camera quality, but there's new shots filmed in it to like kind of overlay it, because there was no way I was going to be able to just simply edit them out of the background. Like, there's literal parts of it where it's just entirely, on full display, like people in the background, school name, whatever. And I couldn't do anything aside from refilm it. So I brought out the original Angry Birds and Godzilla, like Red and Godzilla 2014 figures and plushies, respectively, that I used in that original short, and I filmed new scenes with them, just to kind of like fill in the gaps as to like how they were done, and try to match it as closely as I could without like changing it overly. And I didn't want to add like new scenes to it. They're just like new shots overlaid from the original. And if you also notice, the original like footage has like a blue filter over it. I don't recall the exact reason why I did that, but I did. So I decided to take that, and I decided to completely take the like an identical filter, which I don't remember which filter I did use, but I decided to try to do the same, and I tried to match it as closely as I could so you wouldn't be able to tell, but let's be honest, you can tell. Another thing that was different was me, which I actually crammed myself into the short last minute. I was just like, hey, if I'm gonna make this live action, I gotta go all the way. What if I join along for the race? So I quickly like wrote some scenes with me, and I was just like, hey, you guys racing? You don't mind if I do? Keep in mind this was December 2021, so the mask mandate was still up, and I did have to like wear a mask and such while filming this. So that did kind of limit me as far as like how much I could film like of myself. So in the intro you do see me wearing a mask, but then when I come back later into the short, I'm not. Another thing is my physical appearance, of which I'm bald now. Basically hair, I grew up my hair began to thin out a little bit, so I zipped it, and yeah, rest is history. So I'm bald now. If you didn't know what that smack was, that was the sound of me smacking my own head, not my booty. Anyway, so I decided to wear a hat, like a cowboy hat, and just, play off like the whole, oh, well, this thing is just for fun, it's very goofy, it's very zany, like, no one's gonna really care. And I decided to film those scenes as well, and, what may have you, those are like, I edited them in, and yeah, that's, I would say the most different shot to actually do were probably the last two shots, specifically when I scream at the camera, and when we're all like on the ground together. There was one shot of it that didn't actually make the final cut because I couldn't really figure out how to do it without like making it look so obvious that we go from a school to a house, because the whole short is supposed to take place inside of a school. I mean, that's where it was filmed, right? Instead, it was like, I don't really have a place where I can like fit all three of us in this big backward shot that reveals all of like the background and such. So I had to unfortunately axe that. It was, and if you're wondering where it would have been like right before I said, what the heck? And then Godzilla's face shows up. It would have been right in between those two shots. So sadly, that was not able to make the cut, but hey, that it is what it is. Still, it was pretty much a cohesive short. Basically, it would go Godzilla, Red, and myself, and then Godzilla roars, Red does his Angry Birds triumph theme, and I scream, there's an explosion. And the second shot, well, actually, let's talk about the shot where I scream at the camera. Originally, that was a full body shot of me coming around the corridor and screaming. Well, I didn't actually scream, but I did like a type position, and I ran towards the camera. But again, stuff from the school, like memorabilia, was on full display, and I couldn't release it. However, I did eventually kind of like found a way to remedy this by just literally having a close-up of my face with my mouth wide open, go stuff like that, almost like I'm punching it, almost like if you guys play the Five Nights at Freddy's game, The Joy of Creation, the Ignited Bonnie jump scare, yeah, he does like a similar thing where he like screams and then he like punches. I did like something similar. I didn't really want to punch, but I did almost do like a punching motion, like clench my fist and stuff like that. So anyways, the same explosion from the original happens. I got that from TikTok years ago, so sadly I'm not able to find the original poster for that. But for the final shot, again, kind of similar to what happened before, except I could actually get away with it because everyone was on the ground, including myself. So you can only really see my hand. In the original shot, I was facing like head down, and I was just like, okay, and then my arm comes down. And if you're wondering why it's like doubled on the audio track, it's because what was it? Me and Red were saying that at the same time, and because we have the same voice, it's just like, why the hell not? So I wouldn't really say that was done all that great, but I did want to keep it as pure to the original as possible while enhancing some stuff, so that was like not really changed. So I had to like, okay then, and then my hand comes down, hits it, roll credits. And again, like the original credits actually used the Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends theme song, like dun 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 dun. Again, just random stuff. Thought was cool, threw it in there. And then at the end, it was like, did Jimmy Neutron? I don't know why I threw that in there. The original, there was like a different cut of it. I think I still have it, but it used the Jimmy Neutron theme because at the time I thought it just sounded cool, you know. It's Jimmy Neutron time, Jimmy. Like you've seen the show. Hopefully you have. But yeah, like the updated um what is it? The updated film stuff. Again, I don't have access to that film camera, so there was no way I was gonna be able to actually get that footage. Sorry, get it into the, like 100% camera quality. I also don't attend my old high school anymore, because I'm graduated and I'm an adult now, so there's that. So I'm not able to go back to those specific filming locations and actually film there. But what I could do was just match it as closely as possible by using film stuff I have here, and I think overall considered, I think I did succeed at that, you know? It's not 100% a match, but it's as close as I can get it. And I really wish that, something I wish I did was have access to the original like film reels that I had, because I, for some reason, I backed up everything except the original like film reels. I may still have them, but I'd have to look deep into my Google Drive because it is actually full, so I gotta delete some files off of there. But I'm gonna have a quick look, or actually quite a deep look, as to like if I still have those, like the raw high quality footage, and hopefully I can like condense it down and like maybe make like a higher quality version of this without the grainy filter, and then I can take the footage that I recorded and like put it together, you know, pretty much just remake it almost like a director's cut, you know. But as it stands, this is the one that released, and I'm proud of it, you know. This has been 4 years in the making. Not literally, but 4 years in the making. I have been through so much in that time, and really, I have a lot to owe to that school, you know. Like, at the time, I'll say this, 2019 and 2020, I wasn't necessarily a lot of the time in the best mental headspace. So 2021 brought me a lot of joy and just so much fun. Not only did like Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla single point release, but I just had so much fun like making these crazy, outlandish, different projects like the Godzilla Advent Calendar, the Matthew's House of Hour Reviews pilot that I also released on, re-released publicly on Turqua Productions, my new channel, which plug for that, a few weeks ago, actually about a week ago, a few days ago. Again, I don't know when I'm releasing this, but long story short, there's a lot still in my Google Drive that I still have yet to release, and I hope to release them soon. You know, I released the storyboard, or I'm releasing the storyboard to GG Season 3, Episode 1. I'm releasing like raw cuts, audio stuff, you know, just stuff that's been in the archives for a long time and I want to actually get out. And while I am partially disappointed that I can't release 100% of this original short publicly, I think ultimately it's for the best, for the protection of my own privacy and the others that were in the short as well, because I know some were actually in the raw footage of which, so sadly I don't have access to that anymore. At least I don't think I do, but I do have pretty much access to everything else, like the original audio cut, some early versions of it. They weren't much different, but yeah, basically speaking, that's kind of it. This is, again, the lost Angry Birds Godzilla short finally released publicly. I know like 0 people wanted this, but screw it, I'm releasing it anyway. I feel, again, so accomplished with what I've done with not only this short, but with the series at large, and with the show turning 10 next year. It really shows like how far I've gone. There we go. How far I've gone with the show and this project in particular, and with the 22nd and 23rd season of the Angry Birds Godzilla show coming later this month in August, I feel more passionate about this series than ever before, and I hope you are too. That said, I am going to kind of like end it off here by saying that, I know I wasn't necessarily the best at making films, and maybe to a degree I'm not any, like, even to this day. But I want to have fun making them. They're my hobby, they're my passion. Each and every day I'm thinking about what I'm making next, and ultimately I feel like that's ultimately like a big life lesson to take away from something like this. If you have an old project, don't be afraid to share it. Of course, maybe like censor out or maybe edit out some like private stuff in there, but I'm I'm really happy that this is technically, so to speak, the last, at least according to my memory, the last school project that I made during my time in high school, like actually like for film, publicly available. Like I did make some other assignments and stuff that may never see the light of day, but as for like film, I think this is it. I'm happy and I'm satisfied. So without further ado, again, I want to give a massive thank you to my old high school. I want to give a thank you to my now former classmates. I want to give a huge thank you to each and every one who's watched this video and the short that came with it. If you enjoyed this episode of Matthew Mumbles, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone.